Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for everyone who is coming for the first time and welcome. And thank you to everybody, all of the faces who have returned. We really appreciate you joining us, and we're excited to get started again with today's workshop. I anticipate that it might be a little bit faster than last week, but who knows? Last week, people had really great questions, which really just kind of helped the conversation. So hopefully everybody has some burning questions that they can share with us again today. So again, this is Sembrando Salud. We're a project of the Center of Southwest Culture, and this is workshop number 2. If you haven't been able to view workshop number 1 yet, it is on our YouTube channel, and it's available. Links have been sent out to your emails, and I would really stress with emails that they're coming out from an automated system. So if you haven't seen anything, I suggest that you check your spam, and perhaps it's there. And if not, just always contact us and we'll make sure that you get that information. So again, welcome everybody. These are the topics that we're gonna take a look at today. We'll do maybe just like a quick overview of the stuff that we covered last week. We're gonna go over rototillers, how to use them, and some of the safety that you need to be aware of. We'll take a quick 5-minute break after that, and then we'll come back to some tips and ways to plan your garden and plant your garden. And then we'll come back together and just take a look at what's up for next week and what to be aware of. So with that, just for any of you who haven't participated in last week's session, we just want to give a little bit of background about what Sembrando Salud is. So this is a project designed out of the need to address food insecurity and nutrition insecurity in our underserved or indigenous or Mexicano, Chicano, and POC families in and around New Mexico. So we have folks joining from Albuquerque, Zuni, Isleta, Jemez. I think there's even some folks in Las Cruces. There's people who have joined us who don't necessarily have internet access, so I'm figuring out ways to get them the information out in the more rural places in New Mexico. And we wanted to do this just in an effort to get our families and our people back to growing and connecting with the earth and the land around us, and get back to kind of those traditional ways of feeding ourselves and becoming a little more autonomous in that sense. And then the how is we're providing these online workshops. You can always contact us for technical assistance and guidance, whether that be on our Facebook group, whether that be by phone or email. The staff and your trainers are always ready and wanting to help you with those questions. We will be supplying the gardening supplies that you see in the training and the videos. And we can go over again what that consists of, or you can go back to workshop 1 and just take a look at what participants receive. And then we also will have a little section after people have started growing and have gotten their hands in the dirt, where we're going to be providing some videos and recipes from Chef Patrick Correa, who is joining us today. So we're really excited about that. And now I'll just give it over to Emma and Jose. If you all want to introduce yourself to our participants.
Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see all of your faces again. And again, welcome to everybody who's new today. My name is Emma Dewey. I am the farming advisor for the Center of Southwest Culture.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jose Manuel Castro Lopez. I'm the program manager for Códice. And just a little bit on that. So it's the Códice stands for Community Development Center, and it's the economic development division of the center. We emphasize on farming, larger scale farming than just gardening. So we work with small farmers all the way to middle farmers, and we help them from food safety to some technical assistance to knowing where to sell their vegetables and at what price. And so we do a variety of technical assistance to farmers. So if you're interested in ever scaling up your garden to something bigger, we're always here to support you as well.
Thank you. And again, my name is Cateri Zuni. I'm from Isleta Pueblo and Zuni Pueblo. I'm the coordinator for Sembrando Salud, and I'm also the grants and evaluation manager for the Center of Southwest Culture. And yeah, we're just really excited to see all of you return, and we are super excited to see new faces. So welcome everyone, and we can get started. Oh, before I do that, just a quick mention, a lot of you have joined the Facebook group that we have, so I'm really excited about that. Please continue to request to join that, and also join us on Instagram if you have Instagram. We're trying to use the hashtag Grow Your Own, but you can also use hashtag Sembrando Salud, anything like that. Thank you so much to Wells for showing and sharing your really awesome pictures of your garden, and for submitting questions. That's exactly what we want to see in this community. So I encourage everybody to join us there as well. I'm trying to find people on Facebook. It's kind of tricky because maybe it's not the person that I think it is. So do try to seek us out, and we can let you into that little community that we're building. And I will hand it over to Jose.
All right, let's start off with how to use the rototiller. Needs, safety, and use. All right, rototillers. Do you need one? Reason to till. Your existing soil is very hard and compact, or you're working with a new topsoil or compost and you want to work into the existing soil. You've been growing a cover crop and you're ready to cultivate the space for veggies. So once again, you want to implement into your soil, or your growing space needs to be leveled. You want to get it nice and level. First of all, it's really, really important that you never use the tiller while physically incapacitated. So if you're feeling sleepy, if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling ill, or more importantly, if you're intoxicated in any way, do not use the tiller, please. Never place feet, legs, or any extremity under a rototiller or tiller hood. Never place your hand on the motor while it's running. Some parts are very hot. And there's also a belt. It's covered, but there's also a belt. Please don't touch that. Never till while children or pets are in the path of the tiller. So this piece of machine, just like any machinery, is really powerful and it's really helpful. But if you're not cautious, you could get yourself hurt or somebody else hurt. And it's very, very important to be very cautious about what you're doing. And the tillers that we have are actually pretty strong. We use them for our farming operations at a larger scale. So they're really helpful. We just got to be careful. All right, safety first. Never place a body part beneath the tiller. So as you see there, there's a little cap, no, like a little cover. So I opened it just so you can see that the tines are under there, but please don't ever open it, especially when it's on. And don't touch hot motor parts. So there's a muffler on top of the motor, and the motor's pretty small, so really anywhere it gets pretty hot really quick, especially that one part, which is the muffler. And then when you're ready to get started, because it's a hand cranked machine, you want to make sure that that you got plenty of space around you, that you're not going to hit anybody with your elbow, that you're not going to hit yourself with anything that's around you. You want to have a good amount of clearance space. Also, when you're ready to pull, there's a specific way you should do it. And I don't know if the camera's going to catch me, but like you want to do this motion, because if you do anything else, you could seriously hurt your shoulder. And I know for experience, it does happen. So please be careful. All right. So before we get started, before you actually turn on the engine, you want to check the gas and the oil. So the gas is actually that cap on top of the motor. It's most tillers have it in the same spot. So, and it probably has like a little label on top that says like little gas or the picture of gas. This tiller specific has the oil on the side, and you'll see it because it's almost always is yellow. The cap is yellow, but sometimes the cap could be on the side or in the bottom of the tiller. You just want to twist it, check it. You'll see right away that it has oil or it doesn't have oil. There's a dipstick, and it works the same as just any other vehicle. You want to make sure that it has oil and gas because we want to take care of our stuff and we want to make sure it turns on. So getting in gear. So when you're ready to get it started, always get it started in neutral. So the way the mechanism works, in the next video you'll see, but there's a little lever that you pull, and that's what gives it gas, or that tightens up the belt, which makes the mechanism run. But you always want to put it into neutral just in case the belt is a little bit tight and you don't want it, just to go off on you. Oh, see right there, that part where you like sort of pull on it? Yeah, that's pulling the belt, and it'll give it gas. Next, please. All right, so it has the most tillers, this one specifically has 5 gears into the transmission. It has forward, so just forward will just turn the wheels. Reverse, it will just put the wheels on reverse. Forward will forward tines. The wheels will go forward, and the tines in the bottom will start going forward. Forward with reverse tines, the wheels will go forward, and the tines will go backwards or reverse. Oh, did it skip a page? There we go. All right, starting the tiller. So we check the gas, we check the oil, we put the transmission into neutral. Then most of our tillers have the battery switch on the front of the motor. So you want to flip that to on, or sometimes it also has it on the lever that you pull, or have it on the left side. You just got to make sure it's on. So you put the battery on, you check your engine, you check your oil, you check your gasoline, you make sure you have enough space, and then you pull it. And then so a little bit before pulling, you got to adjust the choke and the gas as the motor starts. So you want to close the choke and turn on the gas valve. Hopefully this video shows it. Let's see. Yeah, so right there. So I pulled it and it got started. So now you want to play with the speed, making sure that you move it all the way to the rabbit or the fastest speed, and move the choke to off, and then put the gasoline on off. So there's other videos that go into more detail, but you'll be able to see it. All right, forward and reverse. So you got the tiller to turn on. You have it at the fastest speed. You got the choke on off, and you got your gasoline valve on off as well. So now you want to try it out without the tines working, just to see how it feels. So when you pull the lever, it puts the belt into action. Now there we put it on reverse. So it has the top lever will moves the gears on the transmission. So now I think we have it on reverse. We pull it lightly, and now we're going to put it on reverse now. Put it on reverse and try it out, and it works. Cool. So it's actually really fast and really strong. So you want to be really careful when using it. There I was just demonstrating just so you can see it. When you get it started, you actually want to hold it with both hands. Okay. Set your rows. Use straight equal rows for length of your space. So you want to go back and forth, making sure you get every single spot. So you want to use straight. You'll it's pretty easy for the machine to go all over the place. So you'll want to really hold on tight and make sure you tell it what to do and just go straight back and forth. So there I already have the tines going. So if you have soil that's really hard, what you want to do, what you want to get started, which gear you want to have it on, is going to be forward with reverse tines. But if you have soil that's not as hard, but you want to get it really fine, it would be forward with forward tines. All right. When not to use a tiller. Your existing soil is very soft and sandy. So even if you try to get it going, it won't. It'll actually probably even get stuck a little bit because it's already done. You can't do anything about it. And then this space, the space you are working with is very wet or boogie. So yeah, if it's really wet, it's not gonna go anywhere. It might get even stuck. It's gonna be hard to get it out. So because it's really heavy actually. So don't try it. And then do not till your soil more than once per year. I know some people want to do no-till, which is great, but some people have a space that hasn't been worked for years, and it's really hard, and they need to break it down. So if you till once a year, you should be okay. More than that is probably not recommended. All right. Do we have any questions?
And I'll just say that the long versions of these videos are what we post on YouTube, so that it's a little more detailed. It goes into more detail about how to start it, proper maintenance, safety, and stuff like that. We just in an effort to keep our time low in these workshops for you, we didn't want to have you sit through the entire video, but they will be available to view in our YouTube channel online.
Oh, we need to.
And then we have a question from Shirley Jaramillo. Hello and good morning. What if we need to till but don't have a rototiller? Okay.
Oh, great question. So we actually have 3 rototillers extra this year. Well, not extra. Our farmers were kind enough to let us borrow for a while. So we're actually going to have one in Zuni, one in Jemez, and one in Albuquerque, and then one in Isla de Pueblo. So the way we're thinking on doing it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Zuni, Cateri, will be that we'll when we the rototiller in Zuni, one of our farmers out in Zuni is going to be kind enough to loan it to the different participants in Zuni. So we also have ramps with each rototiller, so it could be easy to get it on and off a truck. It also comes with this little gas container thingy, so we can make sure it always has gas. So we're gonna set up a system where if you need it and you want to use it, you could use it. Do you want to add anything to that, Catering or Emma?
No, I think just as long as you keep in mind and watching the full length of the rototiller video before use, obviously. I think as you need it, we can work out a way to get it to you. If you feel like you don't need it, you don't have to use it. It's really, just something that we wanted to make available to people who, have that soil, like Jose mentioned, that's super hard packed or hasn't been used in a long time. And if you have the space for it, if you're working with a small bed, that might not be necessary. And yes, Shandora, we have one that will be available for use in Albuquerque if your space requires that. So the best thing to do would be to, hop on your email and use that contact information, info@centerofsouthwestculture.org, or even just call me on my number. Some of you are connected with me on Facebook. There's a lot of ways that you can get connected with us so that we can work out how to get that to you. So with that, we'll move forward with planting with Emma.
Awesome. So to kind of continue our process with building your backyard garden, we're going to talk a little bit about how to plan your space, because planning things out is definitely important. Make sure that you're not cramping plants, putting things next to each other that might compete, or just not have enough space to be able to get big enough. So make sure that you plan. And the way to start out with that, basically, is to make sure that you have a space that's in a sunny spot. That's the most important thing. And incorporating different plants into your gardening plan can help you to block weeds from growing. They'll help you to retain moisture, regulate the temperature of soil, and help increase your production by building more resilience. Combining lots of plants into your space will create a biodiverse kind of system where things just kind of naturally balance themselves out. So you don't have as many pests to deal with, and the diseases that sometimes affect plants won't be as destructive. Let's see here. So when you're planning your space, the best thing to do is to kind of measure the space that you want to work with and draw it out on a piece of paper. And this doesn't have to be exclusive to people who are growing in the ground. You can also plan out your containers. Like if you're just growing in pots, it really helps to be able to just kind of make a plan for yourself and decide where things are going to go. If you are working with a larger space, it really helps to use what we call square foot gardening, which is basically growing within a grid pattern. And this kind of helps you to be able to give plants enough space, like I said, so that they can get big enough that they produce some stuff for you. So figuring out how much space you need for each plant can be determined by looking at the back of a seed packet. And for the seeds that we'll be giving you, there will be descriptions for each of the different varieties that you'll be receiving that include spacing requirements and also how deep to plant the seeds in the soil, because that's really important too. So when you're doing the square foot spacing, most plants, depending on how much they kind of bush out, will be spaced anywhere from like 2 inches apart if you're planting corn to 6 inches apart for heads of lettuce. And bigger plants, usually ones that fruit above ground, will require more space, like 1 foot to 2 feet apart. So the other important thing when you're planning out your garden space is to consider the types of companion plants that you have in your garden. We have beneficial companion plants that sort of serve to help other plants do better. And they do that in ways like planting basil next to your tomatoes will actually make your tomatoes more flavorful. And also help to repel some of the bugs that really enjoy eating your tomatoes. Some other plants that do really great together are tomatoes and chili. They have about the same water and sun requirements. And so they kind of help to balance each other out as well. Things that you don't want to plant together, basically the rule of thumb for this is that if one plant kind of attracts the same insects that you don't want eating another plant, they're probably going to do well together. So I'm sorry, they're not going to do well together. Like cabbage and tomatoes. Cabbage attracts lots of different types of worms. And the biggest enemy for tomato plants are worms and caterpillars. So making sure to not plant them together will reduce the chances that you have high populations of those kinds of pests. We will be supplying marigold seeds for all of our participants. And the reason for that is that marigolds are an awesome companion plant that don't really have any enemies. And they are really, really awesome at keeping away the tomato worms. So it's just one example of something that you can do companion planting wise that will have a bigger benefit on your entire garden space. So I skipped ahead a little bit, but going back, this is an example of the spacing for a square foot garden. And this is based off of some of the seeds that we'll be giving you through your participation. For the next slide, we're using an example of a 4x4 space. So you can kind of see how things can lay out in your garden, keeping in mind the companion planting, things that do well together and things that don't necessarily go well together, and spacing them accordingly. So it's a little bit color coded. Well, not a little bit, it is. So you can see the large circle that's sort of to the left there. That's about the space for a squash plant. Squash plants expand a lot. They have really, really big leaves. So giving them about a 4 square feet radius will allow them to get big so that they're not shading out other plants or competing with anything. The small little yellowish circles are all the marigolds. And so the way that we've laid this one out is that they're kind of creating like a protective barrier around some of the plants that are specifically susceptible to pests. The red circles are the tomatoes. We have the orange rectangles that are carrots. Carrots that are that don't need a lot of space to be able to grow. You can plant those within 2 inches of each other, which comes out to about 16 seeds per square foot. So yeah, you can plant a lot of those in a small space, which is one of the reasons that carrots are a really awesome one that you can plant that, just help to feed you with how productive they are. Let's see. So yeah, I think that kind of ties it up on the companion planting and the spacing as far as seeds that we'll be giving you. So we'll move in here to a demonstration kind of how you would want to start actually laying things out and getting ready to plant. So it's a really important thing to make sure that you're starting out with a good foundation. So if you've had your compost that you're ready to work into your soil, or if you have topsoil that you can use, you want to make sure that everything is mixed together really well, that it's moist enough that it's basically the consistency or the wetness of a sponge that you've wrung out, and making sure that there aren't any like dry spots that are in the soil. You want to make sure that it's level too. That's really important, as you don't want the water to pool anywhere. That can create just an atmosphere that's too wet that could actually end up harming your plants rather than helping them. And it's also really good to set up your drip irrigation line before you start planting, because that'll give you an idea of where exactly to position your plants so that they do get enough water to the roots. So for Sembrando Salud, we are giving our participants seeds. But for this demonstration, we're also showing you how to plant starter plants or transplants that you can get from a garden nursery, or some of the farmers markets have them available as well. And the reason for that is that once we get later into the season, you know, sometimes if your seeds don't make it, if something happens or you just didn't get them planted, it's a good idea to get a starter plant so that they're growing in the proper time frame for when they'll be able to produce more proficiently. So when you do have your starter plants, if you're using them, you want to make sure that you're pulling the plants out of the container from the base. Pulling them out from the leaves is probably going to break some of the leaves off, which will make it a lot more difficult for them to grow, and they might not even make it. So be very careful and make sure that you keep the root system intact.
He's like, Chris, can you massage my plant? It won't come out.
Excuse me. Oh, there we go. Mute yourself. Keep yourself mute, folks. Thank you.
So when you are planting your garden, you want to lay out your plants first. And this is part of the map sort of that you drew out in the beginning phases of planting your garden. If you have an idea of where you're going to kind of place things based on how much space they need, what plants are going to do well next to them and what aren't, then you can start just laying them out in the spots where they're going to go. And once you kind of have them laid out, it's a lot easier for you to see physically how they're going to be able to expand once they're in their little home. And again, you can always refer to the seed packets, or if you're buying the starter plants, they'll always come with a little tag on them that tells you exactly what the space requirements are, just in case you forget. So again, kind of referring to your seed packet or the instructions that you have, you want to make sure that you're planting seeds with enough space and depth that they're going to be able to germinate and have room to expand. A great way to make sure that you are giving your seeds enough space is to measure with your hands. In this little video, we had an awesome helper who was measuring with her hand to space heads of lettuce, which need about 6 inches. And so a child's hand is usually about 4 to 6 inches long, you know, depending on how old they are, and hopefully big enough that they can and are excited to help you. But an adult's hand is usually about 6 to 8 inches long. You might be a little bit longer or shorter depending on your chemistry, but using your knuckle as a space for the depth of seeds is an awesome way to measure how deep you want to put your seeds as well. An adult, usually the first knuckle of your index finger is about 1 inch. So, you know, if you need to plant seeds according to the seed packet, like 1/4 inch deep, just keep that in mind and make a little indentation in the soil. It's at the right level of depth. Cool, so that kind of concludes that section on planting. Does anyone have any questions? And you can unmute yourselves, or you can also type them in the chat.
So I know there's one question that says, hi, from Diana. Hi, what is the pollinator mix? And I think we're going to use butterfly and hummingbird mix flower seed, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so the pollinator mix, Jose, is correct. And the reason that we'll be providing seeds for that is that attracting more bees and hummingbirds to your garden space will help to pollinate the flowers of your vegetables, which helps them produce a lot more. And also just creates a really nice natural environment for your garden space using companion planting and yeah, helping out to balance the pest populations and attract more bugs also that help to control the pests in your garden space. So that'll be a really awesome little mix. And you can plant those kind of in borders around your garden space or even in containers that sort of surround your gardens if you'd like to. Let's see. And I see another question. Sunflowers, hollyhocks, other flowers. Yes, absolutely. Any kind of flower is going to be really awesome for attracting pollinators. One of the cool things about flowers is that there aren't too many that are going to have any kind of negative impact on your vegetable plants. The only thing to keep in mind is that you want to make sure that you're not overshading any of your vegetables. So just giving them, again, enough space that they have room to grow and they're getting enough sunlight. But yeah, those are all awesome options too. Let's see. And if you started from seedlings indoors, how long would you recommend hardening outside before planting in the garden? That is a really awesome question. And that's super important and something that we didn't really talk about for starter plants is that if you're starting them at home inside, they need an adjusting period before you plant them outdoors. Otherwise, they kind of go into shock because it's such a different environment outside compared to inside your home. So I would recommend 24 hours to leave them outside overnight and have kind of a day to get used to the daytime outside temperatures and environment. When you do that, though, you do want to make sure that you're not putting them in a spot where they're just going to get kind of blasted by the sun because they're really delicate at that stage. So they will definitely fry if you leave them out in our New Mexico weather unprotected. So a shady spot is good. And also, obviously, just make sure that it's not a crazy windy day like we've been having this week. And that it's not too cold outside. Let's see, Sherry, soil health, no, and can I start seeds in milk cartons? Corn for the ground. Okay. So yeah, you can absolutely start seeds in milk cartons. It's not still too cold, especially if you're starting seeds inside right now. Typically by May 1st is when we're clear of having any frosts. We do recommend that you wait until April is over because the weather can change very unexpectedly or freeze as we might be expecting here. So yeah, wait until May to actually plant things outside. Let's see, corn for the ground. Yeah, so corn does best if you're planting it directly outside. They have kind of a different root structure that makes it a little bit difficult to kind of transplant them. So yeah, definitely planting outside. I would maybe wait another week or two before you do that. Just like I said, to make sure that we're not dealing with any freezing temperatures here in April. But pretty much that first week of May is a really good time to do all of your planting. Can you still do drip irrigation after you planted your plants in the garden? Yeah, you can. it's just important to make sure that, you know, when you're laying out your drip system, just that you're not damaging plants. It just makes it a little bit difficult to do if you're doing it after you've already got plants in the ground. But yeah, if you're up for the challenge, it's totally fine to do that. And actually, it could help you to space your emitters a little bit more accurately too. So that's totally fine. Anybody have any other questions? And also, if you think of questions later, you can always head to the Facebook group, as Kittery mentioned. We have some really good discussions going. So yeah, feel free to type anything in the chat, or yeah. A listing of companion plants available. We do have access to one, and there's also lots of other resources online. So if you do have internet access and you're able to just kind of Google that, there are tons and tons of resources. But that is something that we'll definitely be including with the materials that we send to you. So
Yeah, it's in the workbook that we give.
let's see, and from Shandora, wait for seeds to plant outside too, or just starter plants. So it kind of depends on the seed that you're planting. Some seeds enjoy kind of being planted in these cooler temperatures. Some examples of that are like any herbs. Let's see, carrots are a good one to start right now, seed-wise. Any other kind of like root vegetables, like radishes or beets. And then as far as more warmer season vegetables like tomatoes and squash and chili, you can wait until about that first week of May. And that should give them enough time to get big so that come the hot summer temperatures, they're already big enough that they won't fry or be susceptible to anything. Cool.
And Shirley
I'm
asked,
using
oh, sorry.
grocery leavings to grow in your garden. So I think it kind of depends on the types of vegetables that you have, and also kind of what your values are depending on organic versus conventional produce. Because keep in mind that anything that you grow from, you know, kind of scraps or whatever from your groceries, it's going to be coming from the same thing that you're growing, right? So like if you're buying inorganic celery, for example, and you want to root that so that you can grow from that little cutting that you have, it just won't be technically organic. Some people really care about that. But of course, it's up to your management style too. So if you grow it from there without using any kind of chemicals or anything like that, yeah, that's totally cool. So yeah, I mean, there are all kinds of different things that you can grow from scraps like that. Like celery, like I said, is an example. Some other things like lettuce heads, if you get one that has the roots still intact. Or you can also do potatoes. Once they start to grow little sprouts, you can start them that way. There's just all kinds of possibilities for that. So yeah, if you want to experiment with that, I definitely recommend trying it. Let's see. I don't think I missed any in the chat.
I don't think so. Also, I'll open it up if there's any questions about the tiller. And maybe even any of the previous topics that we had. Now is a great time. And it might be good if, to help us in our planning, if you can give us kind of just like a preliminary idea of whether or not you think you'll need to use the tiller or a tiller. That would kind of help us understand where and how we can schedule that use. So if you think that's something that you'll need for your space, go ahead and put that in the chat so I can make a record of it. Okay, so let's let And Chandora, you're in Albuquerque, is that right? South Valley, Albuquerque, okay. And anybody else who thinks maybe that's something, okay, so Zuni. Post office. We'll go answer the door. And then we also have this question about manure.
Yeah,
Actually, we've got lots of questions.
let's see here, get to it. Okay, so fresh manure or some that's been out for a while. As far as manure goes, it's better to let it age for a while. When you use it fresh, it can have higher concentrations of like ammonia. So that can sometimes burn your plants if it's super fresh. So yeah, I would recommend, like, if you have it available, manure that has been aged for at least like 3 months. Longer is better. But yeah, usually giving it like that 3-month period is enough to reduce any chances of burning or anything. Let's see, and what would I suggest about improving soil health in a sandy area? So we talked about it a little bit in our last workshop, but one of the biggest things that you can do to help with sandy soil is to incorporate more organic materials. And that can be compost, which is basically like your broken down organic materials, or other things like dried leaves, old bark, or mulch. You could even incorporate things like, if you're growing any kind of cover crops like clover or anything like that, even alfalfa, if it hasn't gone to seed yet, can be worked into your soil to help and create more organic material in there. And that'll help to create the air pockets in sand that allow more of the microbiology in there to do their thing. So that's what I would recommend. And Wells says you used some steer manure last year and it smelled like a rodeo. Yeah, that's another reason to let it age a little bit. It'll definitely help with the smell. but yeah, that's one of the challenges of using manure. And yeah, I think I saw a comment in there about using sheep manure. Yeah, sheep and goat manure from Jennifer. Yeah, I definitely would agree with you that sheep and goat manure is better than cow manure. It's smaller, so yeah, it's definitely a lot easier to work in, and the smell isn't quite so bad either. Awesome.
I think if that is it for questions, again, like really great questions from people. But also just, if it comes to you after or outside of the workshop time, please just drop them in the Facebook page or drop us a line on email or phone and we can get your questions answered. Just some kind of notes for people who maybe are coming in for the first time, and just to address some questions I've had over the week. If you do miss a workshop, you can still check out the recording on our YouTube channel. We sent out links to view last week's recordings on Thursday. So you can still use that same YouTube channel link. That's where they'll be posted, but I'll send them out again for this week's information. People can still sign up. We just ask that they review any workshops that they've missed so far. And it's really important to use that Google form to register. So if you invite somebody to the Facebook group, for example, just also let them know that we need them to register on using that form so we know where they are and what their needs are. And within that, just the address and zip code is also really important. And then again, rototiller, if you, as much as possible, can let us know if you think you'll need one. That'll help us with scheduling to get one out to you in whatever area you're in. And then supply schedules will be dependent on just as if we can get those addresses in, we can know where to drop off your supplies, especially if you're in the Albuquerque area, because we have a lot of space to cover. So just keep that in mind. And still looking at the last week of this month or first week of May to do those drop-offs and get that stuff out to you. And then for the folks who didn't visit us last week, can either Emma or Jose give us an idea of what I mean by supplies?
Yeah, definitely. So as far as the supplies go, every participant is going to be receiving 20 feet of irrigation drip line. It's a main hose, it's a 1/2 inch. And you'll also be receiving 20 drip emitters with that line that are adjustable. So you can adjust the water that comes out from 1 to 5 gallons per hour. It's really awesome. It'll last 15 years, hopefully. And you can also expand it if you decide to scale your space up in the future. So that's really cool. You'll get the tools to punch the hole in it for the emitters and landscaping staples as well. And a hose connector so that you can attach it to your outdoor hose. We'll also be supplying an assortment of seeds. Some of the seeds, I'm probably going to forget some, but the ones that we'll supply to you are squash seeds, some tomatoes, green chili, jalapenos, marigolds, and the pollinator mix that we talked about. And you'll also receive a couple of different herbs. I think we'll be doing basil, cilantro, and mint. So yeah, you'll also receive a bag of soil to kind of help you get started, just in case you don't have any compost going yet. And that should cover about 3 cubic feet of space. So yeah, I think that's everything unless I forgot something, Jose.
No, I think that's it. Besides the tiller, and I know I saw in the chat that someone mentioned, I want to try the tiller, but it seems like it would be like really hardcore or heavy or whatever. And you're right, it is pretty heavy. Most of the work is done by the machine. All you got to do is just hold on tight. But yeah, if necessary, I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, it is pretty strong, but you should be able to do it. And it's always worth a try. Just don't put your foot on the tines, please. But that's it. Tails.
Cool. I think, Chef Patrick, if you want to maybe take the floor, we'd love to hear from you about what you're kind of planning um, for after when we've gotten growing and we're ready to cook up our veggies and herbs.
Yes, I'm. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm Patrick, Chef Patrick Correa. I'm going to be guiding you with some recipes that we're going to make with all of your local ingredients that you guys are growing this year. I'm super excited. I can't wait to get into it. But I know you guys are from all different Pueblos and all across, from Albuquerque to South Valley to the Pueblos. So I just want to get a little more idea of what you guys are actually growing so I can create recipes that are fun for the kids. But I just want some insight in what you guys are actually going to be growing. And so I can, collab with you guys as individuals. I know we're all from different Pueblos, so growing is a little bit different from Isleta to Jemez to Zuni to, the South Valley. So I'm really just want to get your insight on what we're gonna try to like grow and what we can possibly do to, have this stuff that we grow locally to, feed our families, which is really good, especially as an indigenous person. We got to live off our land and we got to take this into custom. So I'm really intrigued on you guys' ideas. You guys can find me on Instagram. You guys can find me on the Facebook website. And then I'll also give Miss Zuni my email, my personal email. So you guys can just shoot me some ideas so we can just really get this ball moving and collaborate with everything that you guys are growing. And I'm super excited. And, I wasn't here last week, but I'm here this week. I was out of town. So I can't wait for all of this to start growing because I'm super excited and I have a lot of ideas. As you guys read my bio on Instagram or Facebook, I did go to culinary school in Las Vegas, Nevada. I worked with all of, Bobby Flay and all those Michelin restaurant people, but I'm trying to collab with Miss Zuni and Emma on this program and, bring something new to the table. So I'm really excited about all your ideas. Just local ingredients. I really want to bring to the table like pickling and like, using all these local ingredients into like salsas and brining stuff. So it's going to be good. And I know it's going to be hard at the first time. I'm going to start off super easy. And then as we start going and I get more ideas from you guys, then we can start collaborating more and, start what my idea is I'm going to start out with like simple appetizers, stuff you can do with the kids, salads. And then, as we progress, then I want to try to get into like more like chimichurris or like salsas that we can do with like chicken, beef, stuff like that. And then Miss Zuni and Emma really want me and Jose really want me to utilize the local herbs like the basil, the mint and everything like that. So we can just meet in the same place because I know we're all from different areas. But the more ideas we have, the more that we can collab and, make it really awesome. So, by the way, again, I'm Chef Patrick Correa and I'm enthused about this whole opportunity. So I look forward to you guys next Saturday. Ms. Zuni, I don't have anything else to say besides that.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Chef Patrick. And just to kind of give you an idea, so people have dropped in the chat what they're growing. So things like chili and squash and potatoes, tomatoes, cilantro, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, pumpkin. So we've got a pretty good zucchini squash, jalapenos, kale. So people kind of are across the board with what they're already growing and what they will be growing. So that should give plenty
Perfect.
to work with.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and then I'll go through the chats too, and then I'll write everything down. And then, like if anybody has an idea, or if anybody just wants to chat with me, we can collab and make a recipe together. Whoever wants to get in, you're more than welcome to hit me up on my email, or just question me at the Instagram at the stuff that Miss Zuni put it up for us. So yeah, I'm excited. So I'm glad for you guys' feedback, and maybe today I'll come up with the recipe with everything that you guys have wrote down, or maybe I'll come up with my own. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much. You guys have a good day. Thank you. Nice to meet you guys.
So
You're
with
welcome.
that, if there's any more questions, we're happy to take them now. Otherwise, we'll just kind of give a reminder. Next week, we'll meet at the same time on the 24th. Links will be emailed to you again. And again, please check your spam folders because it's coming from an automated email system. And so sometimes your inboxes don't like that and it kicks it out right away. And then just, join that Facebook page. Wells really got us started off well with some awesome pictures and really good questions. So let's keep that discussion going up there. And I think I see more. Just lots of thank yous. So thank you all as well. And if there's nothing else, we will see you next Saturday. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.